From cult books to world-conquering TV series, the rise of Game of Thrones has been a meteoric one. Now, as expected, the obligatory game has appeared, but as with everything in the world of Westeros, things are not as simple as they seem. Game of Thrones may well be linked to the massively popular fantasy series, but with development of this title having predated the HBO series, its first reference is that of the books, A Song of Ice and Fire. This means that rather than play as Stark or Lannister, you will embark on a separate story that runs alongside that of the first book. You first take the role of Mors Westford, a ranger of the Night's Watch, stationed along the wall. Your first mission is to hunt down a deserter, to which there is only one sentence: death. You then fill the shoes of Alistair Sardyke, a lord's son who chose to become a Red Priest instead of inherit his family title. After a 15 years absence from home, he is brought back by the death of his father. It's a sad tale, but at least he can still manipulate fire, like all Red Priests. These two aging warriors are a world away from the usual fresh-faced RPG heroes, giving Game of Thrones' story a unique feel.
I knew that you were the one he'd send, Mors. Damned moment. It had to be you, huh?
Like most RPGs, the first thing you do is get to customize your character. Brilliant. All the usual suspects like class, skills, and weapon preferences are all crammed in there. But Game of Thrones has an ace up its sleeve. They've added an ingenious strengths and weaknesses section, which requires the player to pick a balance of skill-buffing strengths versus ability-limiting weaknesses. You can pick as many of either as you like, but you have to balance it by picking a counterpart, so don't go too crazy. This nifty feature definitely provokes some thought.
I am Alistair Sarwyck, loyal servant to the Crown.
Once you've wrapped up the character creation, it's time to see him in action. Unfortunately, the combat in the game is one of the weakest areas. For the most part, it feels clumsy, and the characters look like a team of 3-year-olds playing softball, swinging wildly at the air. There are some solid ideas in there, like the option to slow time and add different strike types to your list of upcoming moves, which leads to some tactical depth that some players will appreciate, but it's just not enough to make you want to find a fight. But if you get past the disappointing combat mechanics, there is a great story in it for you. For fans of the books or the TV show, it's great to spend some time in Westeros while the choice to stay away from the main families pays off, with fresh new characters keeping you intrigued, although a few of the series' favourites turn up as well, so look out for them. Capturing Game of Thrones' signature splitting storylines and cliffhangers well, the plot is what will keep you playing.
Patrick, is all well?
These soldiers attacked me when I was leaving Sybil's place.
But despite the great story behind the game, there is a small issue with its delivery. The voice acting deserves a special mention, and not because we like it. Either it was a last-minute rush to get actors to do the voice, or the developers just picked up people on the street and asked them to read what was on the paper in front of them. The delivery is sometimes so sloppy that you'll at times feel confused because you're not sure what emotion is being displayed. It's a real shame, as it often undermines the better story beats, and while a few character performances manage to rise above, the majority are disappointingly flat.
I'm asking you one final time to allow me to leave with the girl.
At its heart, Game of Thrones is an old-fashioned RPG, and that's where its strengths lie. There is depth to be found in its character progression, and you can expect to spend more time in conversation than you will in combat. With decisions to make and plots to unravel, the game still manages to draw you into its world. Game of Thrones' presentation and combat issues may make it a hard game to love and unlikely to convert non-believers. But deep RPG elements and a twisting tale at its centre ensure that those fans desperate to spend some time in its world will find something worth their time, even if it won't be everything they hope for.